and welcome to the Scary Goals Club. I am your host, Hazel Robertson, and I believe that to make the impact that you know you are called to make in the world, it requires setting bigger, scarier goals and then becoming the person who creates them. That is what I am here to show you how to do. That's what we're diving into with mindset, tools, tricks, really simple, practical, actionable steps you can take and start applying straight away. Because whatever you believe, we have this one life that we definitely know about. Start making the impact you know you want to make in the world. Fear is not a reason to stop. We keep going. We work through the fear. That is what we do in the Scary Goals Club. So come on in, come join, hit subscribe, and let's get started. Hi, and welcome to episode 32 of the Scary Goals Club podcast. And hi, it honestly feels so good to be back recording because the last episode was the Scary Goals Club party, and then the one before that, I think I recorded a few weeks ago. I even had a week off, and it feels like it's been a few weeks since I've actually stood up here and recorded a podcast, and I've missed it. There's been so many things happening, and I'll give you a bit of a life update as well. And today, when we dive into it, I'm going to talk all about your compelling reason why, like why you would actually want to do your goal at all, which thinking about it is something when I do this work with my clients and myself is something that I do very early on in the process. Is like when we're setting our goal and deciding what it is and like creating that vision, the why is part of that. And yet, okay, it's episode 32, and now you're getting this piece of the puzzle. That's the thing about the podcast. It's like whatever is just coming to my mind, like the inspiration, and I'm like, oh, I'll do an episode on this. So it's not like in a certain order of like when I do this with my clients that I take them through like the process. But maybe at some point I'll give you an episode of like, here is the process, like step by step. But anyway, this is part of it. All of the elements are part of it. And we'll get into that today. But first, how are you doing? How are things? Autumn is here. How are you finding that transition? Are you finding yourself slowing down? Are you finding yourself being a bit more like go, 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 back to school vibes? How does that work for you? Normally, autumn is when oftentimes I can tend to get ill. I have to really watch my energy levels. And so I'm just being so aware and so kind to myself this autumn with this change in seasons of like doing all the things I know make me feel good, like getting out. Like this morning, dropped our son off at nursery, and started building this habit over the last like month or so where straight from nursery, I'll just go for a run or go for a walk. And it's so good just like building that in, getting out like first thing. Trying to get to bed earlier as well. It's not always working, especially depending. It's like whatever time he goes down, sometimes I'm like, I just want a few moments like in the evening or like time for Luke and I to chat. But we're starting to kind of shift his bed a little bit earlier, bit by bit. I think sometimes, I don't know about you, but in the summer, like when it's lighter in the evenings, especially up here, wherever you're tuning in from, actually, I should go and have a look again. I think it's really fun to look at a map or like not the map, but like a list of where everyone's tuning in from and is all over the world, which is really cool to think about. So wherever you're listening, maybe it's not autumn with you. Maybe if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're coming into spring and heading in towards summer as well. But anyway, I have totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, so in the summer because it's so light, like we're not far, we're like in the northeast of Scotland, so it's really light in the summer, like really late. And I just feel so energized and I just almost like don't want to go to bed. And I think, I don't know, we are humans, we're connected with nature, we're connected with the cycles and the rhythms. And, you know, these things happen within us, even if we're trying to fit ourselves into whatever time frame works. But this summer, I've just been letting it go like, okay, evenings, I have more energy, I want to be doing more things, and that's okay. And coming into this time, like autumn, when it gets dark, it's like wanting to hunker down a little bit more, wanting to like get a bit more cozy. And rather than like resisting that, just going with it. So with the evenings getting a bit darker, it's like, okay, let's get Flynn off to bed a little bit earlier, a little bit earlier. And so having a bit more of evenings, and then I'm able to get to bed a little bit early as well. That is the plan anyway. And also, what else? I mean, there's been so many things going on. We have just sold our house in Edinburgh. So we have had that house for like a few years, and that's where we lived. Like before we moved to Aviemore and then to Banchory, we were living in Edinburgh, and it's time to let it go. So yeah, we were down there a few weeks ago, getting it all kind of like painted, new carpets, painting outside, decking, and yeah, that's it. Like went on the market and now someone has put an offer in and it's kind of letting it go. And it was kind of crazy, like being down there. I mean, it was so nice. It was such nice weather. And it's one of those places where, like, when the weather's nice, you're just like, oh, and we were like, do we want to do this? We've got so many amazing memories in that house, but we don't live there. And for now, like, we've kind of let Edinburgh go. We love where we are now. Like, this is where we want to be, and this is where we want to settle for a while and not move around every few years like we've done. Like I've done actually most of my life, every like at least 2 to 4 years, I've moved somewhere. Different countries, different houses, different cities, different towns, different everything. And yeah, it feels like, okay, this is where we're going to be for a while. So like, let's get settled. So it's time to kind of let that house go. But yeah, it's so there's a lot of kind of like with the changing season, there's changes in these kind of bigger life things as well. So again, there's all of these changes, all of this, there's been this uncertainty kind of going on, but it feels like, okay, we have a bit of closure on some of it. There's some other things outstanding that I will talk about at some point. But yeah, I'm just in a very, I don't know, like a good place with it all. I think there's I used to get really like worried about things or maybe like feel anxious if I didn't know exactly how things would pan out. And now I'm just like, do you know what? I know, like, I fully trust that whatever happens, we'll figure it out as things unfold. Everything's actually going to be okay. And so, even when there's these moments of uncertainty, it's like you put your house in the market, like, is anyone going to buy it? Are we going to be able to sell it? Is that going to, all of these things. And it's like, okay, I trust we can do what we can. It's like, we'll do as much as we can, like, get it in a really good place, like, make it look amazing so that someone would like love to move in and make it their home. And then we just have to like trust that it's going to happen however it unfolds. And it's unfolded. And yeah, it just feels really good. So just in my trust era at the moment, which has taken a lot of work. It's been something I've been working on a lot over the past like 9 months, is just actually letting go a little bit of like knowing exactly how things have to go and just leaning into like, it's actually kind of fun when you don't, because things can unfold in different ways and just being able to see the magic in that. But it is a practice and I don't always get there. Sometimes I'm like, why is this gonna happen? And my brain will go to the worst case. But just again, with some of these tools I shared on the podcast, it's like being able to bring myself back to just trusting myself and trusting that actually things always work out, especially when I do what I can. And then there's an element of like, okay, and that's it, and send it to the universe and see what happens. So anyway, that's my mood that I'm in at the moment. And that's where the place I'm in. But it just feels really good. It feels a very like flowy, easeful place to be. And yeah, just able to be like way more present and just really enjoying almost like the simplicities, enjoying the simple life. Like we've worked so hard over the last few years. Maybe I'll do an episode on this, to set our lives up in a way to feel really simple, to feel really easy, and especially adding in like a dog and a kid. And it just feels so simple, even though there's these bigger things that are figuring themselves out and there's all this uncertainty. But the day to day just feels like light and easy and simple. Like yesterday, I like hung out with Flynn all day, and then in the afternoon, literally for almost 2 hours, we sat on the rug and we played with magnet tiles and we just built houses for all his like toy animals, and they were moving it around, and we had like snack on the ground. And I actually had to do stretching at one point because my back was so sore. Just I was like, maybe we should bring it up at the table so I can like sit up straight, just like crouching over and doing that. But it's just amazing to be able to get to do that and just setting our life up in such a way that it feels simple. But anyway, I will do that. I'm like rambling a little bit now. I'll do that in another episode. Will I make a note of it? No, I will remember to do it. Okay. Today, I want to talk about why you want to do your scary goal, like having what's called like a compelling reason why, like a really strong reason why, and why you might want a really good reason why. So, when we set a goal, our brain is going to want to be like, no, I don't want to do it. Because anytime we're like setting a goal, doing like a scary goal, something that we've never done before, something that's going to be different than like our day to day, like our habits that we've built up, just how we do things, our like normal, quote unquote, normal life of how things are at the moment. Anytime we're setting a goal that's going to take us beyond that and kind of stretch us and change what we're doing, we're going to have to use so much mental energy initially to like break our old habits and patterns of doing things and actually do something differently, or reach out to new people, or show up in a different way, or do something that feels uncomfortable. Our brains are wired to conserve energy. So that is why very quickly we form habits. Like we do things a few times and our brain will very quickly, they'll form habits. And then it'll get to the point where our body's almost doing it without us even thinking about it. It's like when you're learning to drive a car and it takes a lot of thought. And then eventually you're almost like driving yourself. It's like you're not really thinking about it. It's just happening. It's like your subconscious mind and your body is just doing it. Or you wake up in the morning, you go downstairs and the kettle's on. You've made yourself a cup of tea before you kind of realize you're like, oh, this is just like very habitual. That feels really easy. That is not using very much energy. You're almost like it's going on default in the background. Like this is just habits that you've built, which is why habits are so powerful, because once you can set habits that are getting you towards where you want to go and your goal, then it's like you just do it automatically. If you can set habits that are going to help you towards where you're going to get to your goal, and the more you can just have it happening on default, the easier it is. But in the early stages, when you are shifting how you're doing stuff, when you're showing up in a different way, when you're changing your behavior, changing your thinking, that uses a lot of energy, because the default, like the neural pathways that are like very well used, you don't even have to think about. That's easy. Your brain does that by default. When you are consciously changing things, it's like when you're learning to do anything new, you have to really think about it, and it uses so much mental energy. I remember when we were doing our mountain leader training, I think it was, and there's like different knots that you have to tie and different ways of like how you would assist someone like down a hill with a rope, or like abseiling, and like how you set it up. And the first time you're like watching the instructor and you're kind of then copying it. So you're learning it, you're kind of physically copying it. And your brain's like, okay, wait, no, I loop that around there. Then this goes under here. And you're having to think through every single step. By the end of those days, we were absolutely exhausted. Yes, physically a little bit, but I mean, we were pretty fit, but it was the mental load of not just doing something that felt easy, but really learning something new for the first time. And so you're really thinking through every stage. And then you practice it more and more and more, and it becomes just what you do and just automatic. So then if there is an emergency or you need to respond in a situation, you're not like, and this goes around there and comes under here. You just do it. So the more that you practice it, the easier it becomes second nature. It's the same with, I guess, things like CPR and choking, all of that kind of stuff. It's like the more you practice it, you will just respond in that way. So that's with practice. But when you are learning something new, when you are starting on the route or going towards your scary goal, you're using so much energy to overcome, to learn new things, to do things differently than you've done before. And your brain doesn't want that. It wants to conserve energy. If you think about it back in the day, it's like we have these brains that are quite large, use a lot of energy when we didn't know when our next meal was coming from. Like evolutionary wise, it makes sense that we form habits very quickly and that we do things that we've always done. We do things that feel very habitual. And so when we're doing something new and going after a scary goal, it's going to use lots of energy. Our brain's going to be like, nah, it's going to default back to what it's already done. And we're also wired to want to avoid discomfort. So emotional discomfort. So like the feeling of fear, the feeling of anxiety, like we're worrying about what might happen. It feels scary. We might be separated from the tribe. We might do something differently. People might comment and be like, what are you doing? This isn't what you normally do. Why are you saying this thing or speaking up? Or why are you acting like that? Even though we know it's helping us go towards where we are with our goal, like that fear of how others might perceive us, oftentimes that feeling, that discomfort will keep us just going back to our default patterns. So it's like there's discomfort that has to be overcome with doing anything new. And then there's the discomfort of like what's familiar and where we are. And oftentimes we will choose, not really consciously, but we will choose the familiar discomfort of doing something we don't really want to do, or not really going after our goals, not going after our dreams, but it's like not really what we want, but it feels really familiar. So it's like a familiar discomfort rather than an unfamiliar discomfort, even though the unfamiliar discomfort is moving us where ultimately we want to go, which is our goal, which is like some desire, something that we have that we know that we want to create, that we know that we want to do in the world. And so, again, our brain is wired to avoid this discomfort. So it will keep us doing kind of what we've always done. And we're also wired to want to seek pleasure. So that's, again, doing things we've always done feels rewarding, feels easy. Things like social media, things like numbing ourselves or like eating or over drinking, like any of those kind of things, Facebooking, avoiding, scrolling in our inbox, doing the quick wins, the admin stuff, the stuff that feels like easy and satisfying, but is ultimately keeping us busy. Any of the like avoiding doing the scary thing that's ultimately going to move us where we want to go, like our brain's also wired to want to do that. We like get a dopamine hit from stuff that feels pleasurable and feels satisfying. We're like, yes, I'm ticking things off a list, even though the things on the list are maybe not getting us where we ultimately want to go. So there's those forces at play. There's the conserving energy, there's the avoiding discomfort, and there's the seeking pleasure. And our brains are wired to want to do this. And so whenever we're going after a scary goal, like all of that is working away. Like that is our evolutionary wiring that was designed to keep us safe. That is like almost pulling you back for like keeping you where you are. So how do you actually move forward with all of this? One of the most powerful ways to do that is to have a really, well, lots of reasons, really strong reasons why you want to do the goal at all. So not just like having the goal and having it written out and having it visible, which all of these are very powerful, but understanding like, why do you want to do it at all? Like, why even bother? I want to offer some reasons why you might want to. And then I want to give you 3 ways that you can find out what those reasons why are. So the more that you can be clear what your reasons why are, and then like have them written down, and I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can figure out what those reasons why are, your compelling reasons why are. Why are sounds like the alphabet or something. YR or YR. Oh, I've got to use the YR weather app. That's one I use. It's great. I don't know if you've ever used it. It's so good. It's like Norwegian, and you can like when you scroll through like by the day, it shows like a visual of what the weather's going to do. Because sometimes you see it like written down. It's like, you know, a sun and cloud, and you're like, okay, what does it actually mean? But it visually shows you the sky, and then it shows the rain coming in, and then the sun coming out a little bit, and it shows where the moon is, the sunrise and sunset. It's so good. If you don't use YR.no, I highly recommend it. I find also it's one of the more accurate weather apps. It's more accurate than Met Office never seems to be that accurate. Anyway, I digress. Why are what your most compelling reasons why are? Oh man, what is happening today? It's like in a few weeks since I recorded a podcast, I think I like lost the plot. I think I'm going loopy. Right, here we are. So here is why you want a reason why. And then I'm going to talk about how to find your reasons why. When you have a reason why, or lots of reasons why, it helps you overcome all of the like survival wiring that is at play. So there's like, if you think about it, your goal, like that's your human soul self desire. There's like you, who is you, and we know you are not your mind. We know you are not your thoughts. We know you are not your survival brain because you can observe that happening. So there's like you, the essence of you, however that, like, however you describe that or that resonates with you, yourself. You know that there is this goal you want to create. You know that this is something that you are called to create, that you're like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing if I could do that. Like, that would be so cool. Yes, there's a bit of fear. There's a bit of like, oh, but you're like, yes. So there's that. And then there is your survival brain that's like trying to keep you safe. That's like, oh, don't do that. Like, let's just do what we've always done. Like, come on, come on, come on. These are the 2 things at play. The way, like your survival brain, yes, it is strong. Ultimately, you get to decide whether you listen to it or not. And that's like once you start doing this work, like, you know, when I first started doing it, it's like, wait, no, my brain just, it is what it is. And then I just do what it says. It's like, no, it will offer thoughts. It may even have behaviors that feel like they're on default only because we're not aware of them, only because we've not done the work to be like, okay, what is actually happening? Where is that coming from? Is this what I want? And do I want to behave differently? Do I want to think differently? Do I want to like feel differently and show up in a different way? that is the work of like being really clear of like what's actually going on. And when you can be clear on that, because again, you yourself, your essence, you are the watcher of your brain. You're the watcher of your thoughts. So like you can be aware of what is happening and then like intercept it. So your brain might be like, don't do this thing, or you find yourself like reaching for your phone to like avoid reaching out to someone. And you can catch that. And when you can catch that in the moment, maybe you catch it afterwards, then you can catch it in the moment, then you can be like, okay, no, I'm not doing that. And so it's like ultimately what you do or don't do, like you have control over. Yes, there's a default. Yes, there's the habits that like sometimes we're not even aware of. But once you start like spotlighting your attention on that, like putting your awareness on it to be really aware and be like, this is not what I want to be doing. This is not how I want to be living my life. This is not helping me get towards my goal. Then you can change that. So there's the two bits at play. So knowing that like ultimately you are always in control of consciously how you want to think, feel, and show up. Yes, there's the default that may just happen that you're not aware of, but as soon as you start becoming aware of it, you can interrupt it and intercept it and change it in a moment. And then once you kind of do that a bit more, then like you won't even have the old habit. You'll have like a new habit that's taking you where you want to go. You'll have a new behavior. So there's the survival brain that's like kind of pulling you back, being like, don't do anything here and keeping you where you are. But then ultimately there's you and you know that you want to have this goal. And when you can like, that's why visualization is so powerful, like imagining having the goal and really feeling that. Also like really connecting with why you want to do that. And when you have like the strongest reasons why, that is enough to snap you out of the like overcome the discomfort, overcome like having to use energy to like do something differently, overcome the pleasure stuff of like, oh, I could just do these quick wins, but no, I know that this is the important thing. Or like, I really want to listen to podcasts or scroll on my phone, but actually, this is what I need to be focusing my time on right now. That is going to help you do that because it's so like when you are like, this is why I want to do it, that's going to give you like a drive of momentum, a drive of motivation to want to actually do it. So there's the thing trying to keep you stuck. And it's almost like giving you this bigger perspective. So there's in the moment, like, I don't want to do it. It's scary. It's this, it's this. But when you can connect with like, yes, but this is why it's worth it. This is why it's worth putting myself out there. This is why it's worth speaking up. This is why it's worth showing up on video and chatting to the camera like I'm doing now. Like, for example, with the podcast, like so many reasons why I wanted to do this. Yes, there were some personal ones of, challenging myself, learning by myself, being able to speak more clearly on the spot, to share ideas. But there was also like one of my strongest whys was knowing just how much this work has helped me and being able to put it out there for free on the internet where you, anyone, can actually listen to it, take the tools, apply it to their own life, go and do bigger things, go and realize what they're capable of, go and change the world, go and make a bigger impact in the world, go and make a bigger impact on climate, go and actually help people, whatever that is that you are also called to do, like your bigger purpose, your bigger why, like the work that you are doing in the world. I knew that if I could do this, this could help you on your mission. And so when I can connect with that, and that's one of the things that helps me show up like week after week. I know it's been a few weeks, but when I'm like, oh, I don't want to go on camera, I don't want to do it. Like that, like when I remember, when I stop thinking about myself and I'm like, it's literally not about you. Like get on there, show up, share the things that you know are helpful, that are going to be helpful for someone else. And when I imagine someone else, like I'm imagining you and I'm just like imagining you in whatever situation you're in, and then hearing these things, getting these tools, and going and doing something differently today, or like changing something in your life, or changing something this week, or speaking up about something, making a bigger impact, starting the business, writing the book, like helping more people. Like when I can connect with that, I'm like, oh, it is like so not a big deal to actually stand up, even though I'm like self-doubt and I don't have anything to say. Like that still comes up. I'm like, it's so just not even about me. And that bigger why, like that really just helps me. It's like I overcome all of elsewhere here, like overcome all of my brain's bullshit. Like that is what it is. My brain's giving me so much bullshit. All of these limiting beliefs that I have just taken through my life that are not even mine, that I've taken on through society and from other people. And I'm like, bullshit. It's complete rubbish and I'm done. When I can actually think about other people and helping other people and you, then I'm like, not even like get over yourself. I'm like, come on, brain. Like, that is enough. We're doing this. Like, come on. And it just anything that can help, I found that helps me like zoom out, have that bigger perspective. It takes me out from the like, I don't want to, or like, oh, it's hard. Like, even today, it's been a few weeks since I've stood up. Like, it got into the place where it was really habitual. And every week I was like up and recording and it just became this flow. It's been a few weeks since I've done that. So I'm like, oh, right. What am I going to talk about? Like I'm out of the habit of it. It feels a little bit harder, which is probably why this start of this episode, I was like, wait, what is even happening? I feel like I'm a bit more in the flow now, but like it feels, it's just like less practiced. And so it feels harder to overcome it. But now that once I'm in it, it's so much easier. But to overcome the initial, like, oh, I don't want to, it's like just thinking of that bigger reason why, like all of those reasons why. It's like, okay, let's go. So think about what that is for you. And I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can actually think about that. Okay. So I really suggest like listen to these. And then if you're like, if you're out for a walk or wherever you are, grab a notebook, grab your phone notes and actually do this exercise right here, right now. Okay. So before we start like thinking about your goal, so come like bring to mind, what is that scary goal that you're working on or scary goals? Pick one. What is it that you're working on? And really like imagine that. Okay. And then I want you to just write down. So this is the first one. Just write down all of your reasons why, just like off the top of your head. Write a list. So pause this and go do it now. Okay. Hopefully you've done that. And just like and you can keep asking. So like if you've got an initial list, you can keep asking, okay, what else? What else? Until you're literally like, I don't have anything else. Keep asking that a few times. Some more will come. So keep adding to that list. The second one is using the technique called the 5 whys, 5 whys, 5 YRs, 5 whys. So this is where write down, like take one of your reasons why. So pick one of them on that list and then like ask why. So for example, for me, it's like, why do I want to do the podcast? Because I want to share these tools with the world. Okay. Why? Like, why do I want to share these tools with the world? So do that. So take whatever you write down, pick one of those things and just ask, okay, well, why do I want to do that? So it's like, well, why do I want to share these tools in the world? Well, so then I can help other people learn these tools. Okay, well, so you ask again 5 times. So I've asked it once and this is the second time. So why do I want to help people learn these tools? And then it's like, okay, so they can make a bigger impact in what they're doing. Okay, well, why? And just keep asking why? And it goes, rather than having like, an amount of whys at this level, it takes one and it goes like all the way down almost to the core of it. Like ultimately, like why? What is driving you to want to do your goal? And not like discounting any of your reasons. All of them are valid, all of them are amazing, all of them are great, and just having all of them there. So, and then you can take like a few and just drill down deeper, like do the 5 whys. So pause this now, go and pick one and do the 5 whys and just see how that works for you. Okay, so hopefully you've done that. And then the third one is just once you have that list, just have it there, have it either somewhere visible or like if it's in your phone notes and just keep adding back to it over the next few weeks. So just thinking about your goal and just being like, why? And just if something else comes up, add it to the list. And so just keep asking like the what else, keep doing the 5 whys and just keep adding to that list. And the reason that it's so powerful to have there's not just like one why, but it's like so many different whys is that they will all work at different times. So for example, sometimes like getting up and, talking and sharing this with my podcast, like sometimes my why is like, oh, I actually want to practice talking about this thing, or I actually want to practice explaining this concept that I've just really recently learned. And like that is a why that drives me to get up and want to talk. Other times when I'm like, it's literally like, okay, someone there is waiting to learn something and you can help them. It's not about you, like show up and just do it. And that one works for me. Other times it's like something else. So just knowing that you're going to have lots of different whys, and that's amazing because you will draw on different ones of them at different times. And sometimes you'll be like, that is not like that why is just not even like motivating enough. And other times another why will be really motivating. So then it's finding like if there's any point where you're like, I don't want to do this thing, or you know what the next action is to move towards your scary goal. You know where you're going, and you know there's something you're avoiding, and you will know. There's no judgment, no shame, no anything, but you will know if there's something you're avoiding. I say this personally because there's some things I'm avoiding at the moment, but I'll that in a future episode. And it's like when you have your reasons why there, you can connect with them and you can read them and be like, oh, okay. And like just it's just like where you have your goal and you look back at it and you have your whys and you're like, okay, this is it's almost like this is important. This matters to me. That is what you're saying. It's like I could distract myself and go on social media, check my inbox and like do some quick wins, the admin stuff, or this is what's really important and I'm going to actually spend some time, spend some energy moving this forward. And so just having your whys there, having them visible, reading back through them, reminding yourself of them, like that is going to help you overcome all of like the primitive survival wiring of your brain that is just keeping you where you are because that's what's safe. It's easy, it doesn't use a lot of energy, it feels nice and safe and comfy because you know how it is, even if ultimately it's not what you want. You want this goal because it would be so cool and so amazing, and for whatever your reasons, it's going to require doing things that are a bit different. It's going to require learning new habits and changing your behaviors and shifting your mindset and doing all of those things along the way and failing and making mistakes and being kind to yourself and not beating yourself up. All of that is what is required to get there. Why would you want to do that at all? Okay. Because it's going to be easier to just do what you've always been doing. So the more compelling reasons that you can have and the more reasons you can have, the easier it's going to be to be like, it is so worth it. This is why it's worth it to me. This is why it's worth it to do things differently, to lean into the discomfort, to know there's discomfort either way. And this is discomfort I'm choosing because I'm going towards the goal to take action, to show up, to be who I ultimately want to be. This is why I want to do it. That is what you were doing. Okay. So hopefully you have a list of whys. And if not, go and rewind to that bit, go through the exercise, and then just keep referring back to it and really connecting with that. And you'll feel it. Like you'll look at them and you'll be like, ooh, and you'll feel this surge of energy. That's how you know you're doing it right. When you feel this surge of energy, feel this motivation, feel this drive to be like, all right, let's go. And that's what whys are really helpful for. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions and there's anything you want me to cover on the podcast, please hit reply. Please put a comment. Please message me on Instagram. Please reach out because I'm recording a bunch of episodes and I want to make sure that there are things that are actually useful for you. So if there's anywhere you're getting stuck, anything that you're like, can you talk more about this? Or how do you do that? Please, please, please let me know. It can be totally anonymous. I don't even have to mention you, but I will do an episode on it. And I'll put some on my Instagram stories as well. So send me all your questions, all your can you talk about this? And I'll do some episodes for you. Okay, thanks for listening. And also, have you signed up yet to the Scary Goals Club party? So excited. We're coming on Zoom live. I'm going to answer like all of your questions, give you coaching there and then. If you're listening, you can take it out for a walk. You can interact in the chat. There'll be cameras off. I'll have my camera on. You'll see my face. So it's going to feel like, you know, come as you are, come where you are, come wearing whatever you need, get comfy, get cozy. It's going to be amazing. And if you sign up, the link's in the show notes, then you'll get a Zoom link just before. And it means if you come on live, then you'll be able to ask any question, pick my brains on anything. I'm going to be giving some super specific and helpful teachings as well. That'll be, again, specific to your goal. And we can like literally coach, workshop, chat on anything. And the most amazing thing about these sessions where there's multiple people on one call, like these group sessions, is we learn so much from each other. You will understand even just by like when someone else is asking questions, you'll be like, oh, wait, I was thinking that too. Or like, I didn't even realize I had that question, but the answer is really helpful. You will realize that you are not alone, that we are all human. We all are like doing the best we can in this world with this amazing brain and body that we don't get taught how to use. We all want to create magic and magnificent things in the world and beauty and show up as more of ourselves. And you will realize that. And just coming to these calls where you can connect with other people like that, it is so powerful. So 30 minutes, it's not like a big chunk of the week, but what if it is like the most magical and amazing 30 minutes of your entire week? What if it could be that? What if it could be like you come along and you leave just feeling energized and inspired? That is my aim for these calls. That is what I'm wanting to do, is to just give you more focused, targeted support on your scary goals. So I'd love to see you there. If you are hesitating or you're not sure, just sign up anyway. You'll get the Zoom link, put it in your calendar. Sign up now in the show notes. There's the link. Go and do it now. And I'll see you on Zoom and have an amazing rest of the week and an amazing rest of the day. I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye. Have an amazing rest of the day and amazing rest of the week. And I will see you next time. Bye. Mwah. Hey, thanks so much for listening. If this was helpful, please hit subscribe and leave a review. This helps get this work in the hands of more purposeful people. That is, more people creating bigger, scarier goals, making an even bigger impact in the world. And if you want to take this work deeper and work with me directly, head to the show notes and I've got all of the information there. If you've got any questions or if there's anything you're like, ooh, I'd love you to talk about that on the pod, please just get in touch. I love hearing from you guys. And I'll see you next time in the Scary Goals Club.